This is Creating Your Encore Career and Becoming a Silver Entrepreneur with your host, Lynn Freest. Lynn will share ideas and expert advice from people that are walking in your shoes and living their encore careers, where they want and at the pace they want. You'll start a company of one with confidence and knowledge to live a fulfilled life of freedom and ease. Lynn is a coach and leadership consultant whose mission is to show senior leaders and experts how to start something refreshing and new after a full career in the corporate environment.
Welcome to this episode of Creating Your Encore Life. Do the work you love, when you want, and where you want. Thanks as always for listening. With an Encore Life, you can be creating value in the world beyond just winning that next pickleball game. You can live the dream as I am. And if you're ready to get started right away, please contact me at lynn@lynnfreest.com. This is episode 200, and I had planned to maybe make it all about some thoughts on 200, but life gets in the way. I've recently been helping my mother with a health tech challenge over the last couple of weeks, so it's been one of those things where I'll probably just briefly mention it and go on with some other prepared information that I think is also valuable to you. I've been doing this podcast now from 2019, and here we are in 2023, so about 4 years. I think it's helped people, and I've been honored to know that I've served people. It certainly helped me because it gave me a couple things. One, I've interviewed almost 80 people, so I got the opportunity to learn myself from them as well as share their thoughts with you. And then it has given me a chance to really articulate my thinking. So I get a chance to also, when I share with you, it gives me some discipline to go through and what is it I'm trying to share with you and make it the most possible value. And quite frankly, it's helped me live my dream life. In all the things I've learned in these last bunch of years, all of it has been interesting and helped me develop. Again, this episode number 200 is a book report kind of a thing. And it's a book that I read recently that I really enjoyed, and I think you will enjoy it also. It's called Afterwork, a book on the non-financial side of retirement. Now, officially, the subtitle is An Honest Discussion About the Retirement Lie and How to Live a Future Worthy of Dreams. But we'll go over this, and again, I think it's a marvelous book. It gives you a great perspective. Now, some of the steps in the book I might do a little differently, but still, it's very worthwhile. The Afterwork, what they're saying in the book is it's trying to get a healthy and hopeful approach to retirement. And that some of what you hear here will be a little different than maybe what people have traditionally thought about retirement. Often in our society, we think of retirement as self-focused and comfortable and vacation-minded and those kinds of things. And we also view retirement as mostly a financial issue to be solved. But it's one of those things you also need to think about, what are you going to do with this time that you have, even if you are financially secure? As they say in the book, the retirement lie says that a successful retirement is an endless vacation based on financial security. But this it could lead you to disappointment, as they say in the book, and I would agree with them. So we'll see here. They start off with the whole thing is that when their view of afterwork, as they say, it's a quest for you to thrive in the most impactful and purposeful season of your life. So again, that's what their goal is here, how to help you do that beyond the financial issues. And in theory, be a little more outwardly focused maybe than inwardly focused, not just focused on your bucket list, as it were. And then they say, you're a person and not a portfolio. On the other hand, it is what they call a VUCA world out there you're going to be living in. It's got volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So all of these things mean you have to stay nimble, active, resilient. And here again, they have 10 key disciplines that they feel will help you do that. The first one of those disciplines is purpose. It's often easy to say, we all say we're busy. But what does that mean? You're busy in work. Now, I often hear people say, I'm so busy in retirement, I don't know how I ever found time to work. Okay. So if we're all busy, the question then is anything happening? What's this busyness creating for ourselves or for others or just in general? And then as you think about this idea of purpose, I think another question is, what's going to get you up in the morning for the next 20 plus years? And it can change, quite frankly. It could be, I recommend, that in the early phase of retirement, you consider it a sabbatical and you're just exploring, relaxing, recovering, whatever you may call it after a long career. But then you start thinking about, okay, that's great for this year, but then be thinking about what's going to get you up in the morning for the 20 years after that. And again, it may change. It may be grandkids are what you focus on for a while. It could be an Encore career you focus on for a while. It could be travel, whatever it may be. But think about what it is that's going to serve as your, quote, purpose. Key number 2 is they call a calendar. For most of us who lived in the corporate world, the calendar ran our life. So we have a way of keeping track of our time and deciding what to do when. In today's world, you may say that we're going to throw the calendar out the window as retire. But I would suggest maybe thinking differently about it. Think about, what do you want your ideal day to look like? Okay. Often in today's world, our calendar is determined by others, but there'll be more of an opportunity for you to determine your calendar for yourself. But what is that? Because often without anything scheduled, nothing gets done or nothing happens. And so just be thinking about what you might want your ideal day to look like. Key number 3 is movement. And they think of movement as in the holistic sense, I would suggest, and I do too. It's not just exercise, but it is a habit. So you want to think about what are the ways that you're going to keep yourself moving, because quite frankly, your mind and body, they're intertwined. You need to keep both of them active. Often the things that lead to longer life and longer, healthier life will involve exercise. But it's not just going to the gym. It could be gardening. It could be walking with friends. It could be any number of activities. But just remember, moving is key, even in retirement. Key number 4 is journaling. And again, journaling is something people love, they don't love. I've been journaling every morning since about 2018. I've used journals in different ways. Sometimes it's just whatever's on your mind. And in fact, some people would say just every morning when you get up, just write down anything that's occurred to you or that shows how you're feeling, because that can kind of download stuff that's got you stuck or download stuff that has you upset, any number of things. But then again, I've used journaling differently. I've often used a gratitude journal, starting off the day, just listing all the things that I'm grateful for in life. And obviously, you're always grateful for some things, but there may be things that come up day to day that you're grateful for. And also, it doesn't have to be a time-consuming process. I've also, in the past, done what was called a bullet journal. And there you just wrote down 3 or 4 things that occurred to you during the day. It wasn't intended to be a comprehensive thing. It was just, what are you noticing? So it's one of those things. And the other thing I know in the book, they said just this idea of writing, whatever it may be, even if it's, I hate journaling, whatever you want to write. But they say it may be the least expensive form of counseling, because it is amazing that once you get stuff out of your head and onto paper or something like that, it can be free things up for you. Now, the 5th one, the key 5, number 5 is faith. Now, again, this is not just considered, I'll say, religious faith, but it is, what's your belief system? What are the things you stand for? What are the things that are at your core? It can be truth, it can be accountability, it can be any number of things, but spend some time thinking about what are your basic beliefs. And then it helps to articulate those, I think, and write them out a little bit. Again, in the book, they talk this of, if you articulate your beliefs, it helps you rise beyond some internal discontent. We can always just feel off. We're not sure. Life doesn't feel fulfilling. Just think, give some time to considering what are the core beliefs that you have. Key number 6 is connection. And I firmly believe in this. Do you need to have a new group of friends? Are you finding life lonely? Certainly, I found that as I started my retirement, as quote, working from my home office. That was actually kind of a lonely way to go about business. I mean, I enjoy time with my wife, my family, but there may be some elements there where you need friends, and you may need new friends. If you left people that had colleagues at the office and they're still working, okay, but your interests are down different than those. So you want to find people with maybe common interests or even different interests. So it's just the idea, but connection is a key thing to having a long and healthy retirement. Key number 7 is learning. And the book, they suggest, what's one thing you always wanted to learn? Start off with something like that. And there could be that you decide, I want to have a podcast. What are the things you need to learn to have a podcast? I've often used the story of a friend of my mother's. Her motto was, you always need a project every year. So she was in her late 90s before she passed away. In her last year, her project was to learn Italian. So some of this is just pick out something. Learning is important. I think it keeps your mind active, even more so than crossword puzzles and things like that. You want to, and certainly it keeps your mind more active than the passive binge watching Netflix. So keep doing that. Learning is always, I think, going to help you drive you forward. Key number 8 is awareness. So this gets down to, it's like emotional intelligence, but it's really, are you aware of your emotions and how your body feels? Are you just we're so busy with activities, we don't stop to think about, okay, how do I feel about this? Or what's my body telling me? Am I stiff? Am I sitting in a poor position? Whatever it may be. But I think there's some stuff around that you can really, I think it's good at any age to do this, but certainly now you've got a little more time. You're not maybe so driven on activity type things. It's a time to actually pay attention to yourself. What are you feeling? What are you doing? Those kinds of things. Key number 9 is generosity. In general, do you have a sense of abundance or scarcity? Now, in the book, they talk about how often are you checking your balances? Are you always concerned about how the balance is? Those kinds of things. But the other piece is that idea of abundance. Again, the world is uncertain. We never know for sure about things. We can't control many things in life. But do you have a sense that there's abundance in life and that things will happen that are good? Or do you have sort of a scarcity or even a victim mindset that you're at the mercy of other outside forces all the time? It's one of those things, it's a good question to explore for yourself. Each of us will have a different answer. Now, the final key, number 10, is awe. And awe is kind of that, what makes you pause or takes your breath away? And I'll say maybe it's also just, what are you paying attention to? Are you really looking at the world around you? And are you really focused and paying attention to the people around you? There's a sense that the universe does inspire awe. For me, it's being in the mountains or traveling with family, my wife. So those are the things that, again, you now have some time. You're not on an activity treadmill. So what are you doing that takes your breath away? If not, maybe you should go looking for some of those things. Those were the 10 keys in the book Afterwork. And again, it's life beyond just the financial issues. You're not simply a portfolio of money. Not that that's not important, but to really have a full and longer and healthier, longer life, I think you need to, these 10 items would be a good spot to at least do some exploration. Well, with an Encore life, you can be creating value in the world beyond just winning that next pickleball game. You can do the work you love, when you want, where you want, and you can live the dream. Once again, if you're ready to get started today, please contact me at lynn@lynnfrias.com or head over to my website, lynnfrias.com. Maybe listen to a few podcasts or get on the email list. So, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.